It starts quietly. You wake up to the sound of the refrigerator humming, and nothing else. No one calling out your name. No footsteps down the hallway. Just you, the coffee pot, and a kitchen that's been far too silent for far too long. You glance at the calendar. Blank. Again. Once upon a time, your days were full. Meetings, birthdays, grandkids tugging at your shirt, church picnics, phone calls that lasted an hour, then ended with talk to you tomorrow. But now, it's not that people forgot about you. It's that life kept moving. And somewhere along the way, it moved on without asking if you were ready. Making friends at 70, 75, 80, it's not like it used to be. You can't just walk into a room and assume someone will sit beside you. The people you trusted most may be gone. The courage you once had to say, hello, feels buried under years of heartache and hesitation. And yet, something deep inside still longs for connection, still aches to hear someone say, I'm so glad you came. So today, we're going to talk about something tender, something brave, not about how to make friends, but about why it's still worth trying, why your heart still has room, why your story still deserves to be heard, and why, even after all this time, someone out there may be waiting for a friend like you. Let's begin. It's strange, isn't it? How friendship, something that once came so naturally, now feels like climbing a hill in the dark. Back then, it started with a lunch break at work, a neighbor waving over the fence, a handshake at church. You didn't have to think about it. You just showed up, and somehow connections grew. But now, there's no office chatter. The neighbor moved. The church feels emptier each week, and so the silence grows louder. Part of the difficulty is that at this age, we're carrying more memories, more grief, more walls. We've been hurt. We've said goodbye too many times. And deep down, we ask ourselves, what if I let someone in again and they disappear too? It's a valid fear. But here's something else that's also true. Even the most careful heart still needs company. It's not about having dozens of friends. It's about finding even one person who sees you, not just your age or your aches or your routines. Someone who hears the full story behind your laugh. Someone who remembers your favorite pie. Someone who just shows up when you didn't even ask. But friendships at this stage don't happen by accident. They happen by intention. It might mean starting small. Good morning at the senior center. A shared smile at the grocery store. Sitting beside someone instead of a seat apart. You don't have to be the life of the party. You just have to be present and open. Because here's the secret. There are people out there just like you. People who miss the way things used to be. People who are hoping, quietly, desperately, that someone might say hello first. And maybe that someone could be you. Let's talk about loss. Because if we're honest, that's one of the biggest reasons making new friends after 70 feels heavy. By this point in life, we've all lost someone. A best friend, a spouse, a sibling, maybe even a child. Those aren't just names or faces. They were entire chapters of our story. Losing them felt like someone tore out pages we'll never get back. And when that kind of grief settles in, it changes how we relate to others. We start building emotional fences instead of bridges. We tell ourselves things like, I don't want to get too close. Everyone just leaves eventually. I'm fine on my own. But being fine and being fulfilled are not the same thing. Grief can make us think that if we don't risk love, we won't feel pain again. But the truth is, we just end up feeling numb. The irony? Making new connections doesn't dishonor the people we've lost. It honors them. It says, because of the love I had, I'm still capable of loving. It says, I still have room in my life for joy. And it's okay if new friendships don't feel the same. They're not supposed to. They're not replacements. They're continuations. You might meet someone who loves jazz like your old friend did, or someone who bakes the same pie your spouse used to, or someone brand new who brings color into your days in a way you never expected. Letting people in again after loss is not forgetting the past. It's allowing yourself a future. You deserve warmth, laughter, company. You deserve people who text thinking of you, who will remember your birthday, who sit beside you in the quiet and make it feel a little less empty. And those people, they might be closer than you think. All it takes is that first step, that one invitation, that one brave moment where you say, "Hi, my name is..." Because while grief shapes us, it doesn't have to define us. You're not done loving, and you're not done being loved. Let's talk about something we don't always admit out loud: the fear of being judged. When you're in your 70s, 80s, or even 90s, it's easy to feel like the world has already drawn its conclusions about you. People see your wrinkles, your slower pace, your quiet moments, and they assume you're no longer interested in new stories, new adventures, or new people. But they're wrong, because inside you is still the person who once danced until midnight, who drove across states just for a good slice of pie, who laughed so hard they cried. That spirit, it didn't disappear. It's just waiting for a spark. And yes, the idea of walking into a new group or conversation at this age can feel terrifying. What if they think I'm too old? What if I have nothing in common with them? What if I just don't belong? But here's the truth. Everyone feels that way. Even the 40-year-old trying to make friends after a divorce. Even the 60-year-old who just moved towns. Even the 80-year-old sitting alone at church, waiting for someone to say hello. Loneliness doesn't have an age, but neither does courage. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be willing to smile first, to ask someone about their day, to say, "Would you like to sit with me?" Friendship often begins in the quietest moments. A shared glance at the supermarket, a kind word after a community meeting, a neighbor who always waves but never says more until you do. And no, not every connection will blossom. Some might stay surface level, some might fade, but some might surprise you. You could find someone who also lost their spouse last year, someone who used to love gardening but hasn't touched the soil since their knees gave out, until you offered a chair and a conversation. Someone who's been waiting, just like you, for proof that it's never too late to begin again. So don't count yourself out. Don't assume the story is over. You're still growing, still unfolding. And someone out there is waiting to meet a friend like you. Someone steady, wise, gentle, with a laugh that holds years of memory. You don't have to chase people. You just have to show up, be present, be kind, and let the rest take its course. Because friendship at its core is simply this: two hearts saying, "I see you," and even at 70, 80, 90, you still deserve to be seen. Let's talk about the weight of loss. Because it's one of the biggest reasons why making new friends after 70 feels so different and so difficult. You've likely said more goodbyes than most. To parents, to lifelong friends, to a partner who once finished your sentences, to neighbors who knew the rhythm of your days. Each goodbye leaves a little silence behind. And after a while, silence becomes familiar, even comforting in a bittersweet way. So when someone says, "Go out and meet new people," it's not that simple, is it? Because you're not just looking for new company. You're quietly carrying the echoes of the old. And deep down, you wonder, can anyone ever fill that space again? The truth is, no one ever replaces the people we've truly loved. And they shouldn't. But what they can do, what new friends can offer, is a different kind of light. Not brighter, not louder, just different. A new friend might not know the full history of your life, but they can still sit beside you on a Tuesday afternoon and ask, "How are you really doing?" They can share a laugh over something silly. They can remind you that your stories, no matter how many times you've told them, still matter. And when the holidays come around, or the anniversary of a loved one's passing, that new friend might be the one who says, "I'm here if you need to talk." That's the beauty of connection at this stage in life. It's not about quantity, it's about presence. You don't need 10 new friends. Sometimes one kind soul who listens, who understands, can make the world feel less heavy. And that's worth the risk. That's worth the awkward hello. The small talk that turns into real talk. The coffee date that becomes a weekly tradition. So if you're scared to open your heart again, be gentle with yourself. That's not weakness. That's proof that your heart has loved deeply. But don't let fear become the final chapter. There are still memories waiting to be made. Still people out there who want to meet someone just like you, not because of your past, but because of the way you show up now, with honesty, with depth, with grace. And maybe, just maybe, you'll discover that friendship in your 70s or 80s can be even richer than before, because it's chosen, because it's intentional, because it comes from the quiet, brave decision to keep your heart open, one conversation at a time. So, you've taken that first brave step. You said hello. You went to that church potluck, or sat beside someone new at the senior center. You asked how their week was, and maybe they asked about yours. Now comes the part that matters just as much as the beginning, nurturing the friendship. Because making friends is one thing. Keeping them, growing something meaningful, takes a different kind of care. And no, it doesn't mean texting every day or planning outings every weekend. It means showing up in small ways that say, I'm glad we met. I'd like to keep this going. It starts with remembering their name and using it. It sounds simple, but there's something powerful about being remembered. It could be checking in when you know they've had a doctor's appointment, or bringing them a slice of your famous apple pie, even if it's store-bought, or saying, hey, I'm going for a walk tomorrow. Want to join? Consistency builds comfort, and comfort becomes connection. You don't have to talk about deep, emotional things every time. Friendship is also found in shared silence, watching birds on porch, or sipping coffee as the sun sets. Over time, something subtle happens. They start to feel familiar. You laugh more, you share more, and one day, without realizing it, they become part of your rhythm. But let's be honest, even with effort, not every connection will bloom. And that's okay. Sometimes people are dealing with their own grief, their own walls. Don't take it personally. Just keep showing up as yourself, with kindness, with patience, with honesty. You're not trying to replace old friends. You're just letting your heart grow room for something new. And here's a beautiful truth. Friendships formed later in life are often more honest, more intentional, and more deeply appreciated. Because you both know how precious time is now. Because you're no longer trying to impress, just to be real. So give yourself grace. Let the friendship grow slowly. Let it be imperfect. Let it be enough. Because when you water something gently over time, it begins to bloom. And in the quiet moments when you didn't expect it, a laugh shared, a memory made, you'll realize this is what it means to be connected again. This is what it means to belong. Still, sometimes, when we think about making new friends in our later years, it feels like a luxury. Something nice, but not necessary. After all, we've made it this far, right? But here's something most people don't say out loud. Loneliness isn't just sad. It's heavy. It hurts. It weighs on your chest in the mornings. It echoes through the silence at dinner. It makes you question your worth, your place in the world. But connection, even the simplest kind, can change everything. The first time someone remembers your name, the first time they laugh at your joke, the first time they say, I'm glad you came today. In that moment, something inside you softens. Because suddenly, you're not just existing, you're being seen. That ache in your chest doesn't disappear overnight, but it eases a little when someone waves at you from across the room or calls just to check in. You begin to feel it. You matter again, not just your past, but to someone's present. And it's not about needing to be fixed. You're not broken. You're just human, craving connection like everyone else. Sometimes, all it takes is one steady friendship to remind you of your own strength, to remind you that you still have something to give, a smile, a story, a quiet presence that calms a room. And as that friendship grows, something else begins to heal too, your belief in yourself. Because if someone wants to spend time with you, if someone finds comfort in your words, then maybe, just maybe, you're still someone worth showing up for. And that kind of healing doesn't need therapy or big solutions. It just needs a heart willing to be open again. So if you're sitting there wondering, what's the point? Let this be your answer. The point is you. You still have light left. You still have stories, kindness, and laughter to give. And the world, no matter how much it rushes by, still needs it, still needs you. So here we are, If you stay with me through this story, through the silence, the memories, the fears, and the flickers of hope, then maybe, just maybe, you're ready to try again. Not to become someone new, not to change who you are, but to remember. Remember the feeling of being needed, of making someone laugh, of hearing, "I'm so glad you're here," because that still belongs to you. Your heart hasn't aged out of friendship. Your smile still has power. Your presence still matters more than you know. And if the world has made you feel invisible lately, here's your gentle reminder. You are not invisible. You are here. And someone out there is hoping to meet someone just like you. So, if this video spoke to you in any way, if it reminded you of something you've forgotten, or gave you a little push toward reaching out again, leave a comment. Say, "I'm still here." Say, "I'm ready to try." Or just say hi. You never know who might need to see that. Share this with someone you love, or someone you think might need a gentle nudge toward connection. And if you want more messages like this, from a space that honors your stories, your wisdom, your voice, then go ahead and subscribe. Because around here, we believe something simple and powerful. You're not done. You still have more life to live. And your next friendship might just be your best one yet. Until then, take a deep breath, take a small step, and take heart. You are not alone. You never were, and you never will be.